What up, everyone? Back for another video. This time we're doing a review of the movie Morbius. I'm going to give my quick 2 cents on it, talk a little bit about it, and then I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Because as usual, these videos aren't all about listening to me. It's about a discussion. So please feel free to weigh in anytime, and thank you to the people that always do. So, that being said, overall, I liked it. Now, I know everyone's going to say it was awful and the reviews were terrible and all these things, but, I really don't agree with that. But I'm glad I heard that before I went and saw the movie, because that puts my expectations in the right place. I had this problem when I saw Spider-Man. I just heard so many positive things about it, and there was so much hype around it. When I finally did see the movie, I was actually really disappointed. Not that it was a bad movie, I was just expecting so much more. So hearing that the movie wasn't that good before going to see it, it really lowered my expectations and made it possible to just enjoy the movie, which I think is a good thing. So my perception of it... Will you quit it? What are you sniffing? You're making noise. Quit it. My perception of it was probably a little bit better than it should have been because my standards were set so low. So my perception may be slightly skewed because of that, just for warning. But, I still enjoyed it. I was talking to my friends after the movie, and they kind of gave me their opinion of what they were expecting, and I think part of the problem is the perception. People have too high of a perception, and when it's not met, they're disappointed. Even if I didn't hear that it was going to be a bad movie, my opinion of it was just never very high because it's a side character. This always happens with Sony. They try to build this whole Spider-Verse, and they get to a certain point where the characters are too obscure, and they try to make movies, and they fail, and then they reboot the whole universe. That same thing is happening right now. So I kind of knew going into it that it wasn't going to be a crazy movie, because it's just kind of a side character. It's a supporting character to the Spider-Man franchise. It's not like how Avengers is, where each character of the Avengers has their own universe. It was never really like that. For the most part, these were all just characters that were part of Spider-Man. Yes, they all had their backstories, and yes, they had their side comics sometimes, but they were, at the end of the day, all supporting characters. So knowing that beforehand, just, if you think about it, there's no way that they were going to make some grand, amazing movie because there's not enough content there. There's not enough of a backstory to require an entire movie. Marvel's kind of got it the right way with Disney Plus. There are so many characters like this that they realize are just supporting characters, so they really don't need their own movie. Sorry, there's puppies walking around everywhere right now, so I'm getting distracted. I did this video too early, and they're not asleep yet, which they should be. Sleep. Anyway, like I was saying, Disney Plus has really got it right because they have so many characters that don't deserve their own movie. They're characters that they want part of the bigger picture, but they're not interesting enough or important enough to require its own film. And now Wolf is peeing. Thank you, Wolf. So they make TV shows about these supporting characters, and that makes sense. Your expectations are lower because you're going into it as a TV show versus a movie. Morbius is that character. He should have been a TV show. Sony doesn't have the means to do that, but if they did, this probably would have been on that level. Since they can't really make their own TV shows, they still make movies, but you gotta go into it expecting like the quality of a TV show as far as like backstory and stuff like that. So that's what my thought process was years ago when this movie was first announced. So that also probably got my expectations in line of where they should be. I think the people that are disappointed in this film just had too high of expectations. I think that is the main problem. Like I said at the beginning, having my expectations in the appropriate spot really led me to enjoy it. So, things I liked about it. First of all, let me just say I'm so thankful that CGI has finally gotten to the point where it doesn't look like shit all the time. Quit it. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm just so happy that every time, for 30 years or whatever long it was, every time something CGI was about to come up, I would always wince because it would always look terrible. Movies have finally gotten to the point where it's acceptable. There were so many times where, like, when Morbius was sick before he got his like serum, where I knew they were going to show his body all like withered, and it always looked terrible, but this time I thought they did a pretty good job. there's so many times in the movie where I thought CG would bug me, and it just didn't. So it's one, they did a good job at it, and two, technology just finally caught up with itself where it doesn't look like shit. So I appreciated that, and I noticed that. I also like the special effects they did. The whole echolocation thing, where it showed the zoomed out city and like the sound waves going through, and it kind of made a smoke effect. That was awesome. And that's something that they just kind of created. Like, it's just an artist's interpretation of what echolocation would look like if you could see it. And they did very well on that. So I very much enjoyed that. So these are all things I liked. And I like Jared Leto. I'll say that. So many people hate on him. I legit like him as an actor, as a musician. I think he is a legit really good actor. He just kind of constantly picks these bad roles, like the Suicide Squad and stuff like that. It's not necessarily his fault. He's just making bad choices. But he himself is a good actor. So I enjoyed him as an actor in this film. I like what they did with the character. It's a little bit different than the comics. He was really a good guy in this movie, where the comics he's a little bit on the other side. So, woof! Sorry about that. Having to take care of puppies. I don't have any help right now, so I'm trying to take care of puppies and record a video at the same time. It's not a good situation. Anyway, like I was saying, like Jared Leto as an actor, I respect him, and he did a good job acting in this movie, so there was nothing wrong with that there. I think a lot of people's complaints were there were some little plot holes. There were little parts of the story that didn't really make sense, that kind of just seemed forced. So I get that. I understand why people weren't a big fan of that, but I think there's a lot to still appreciate about the movie. I enjoyed the character. I enjoyed the visual aspect of the movie, so I really enjoyed all those things. So one of the only things I actually didn't like about the movie, honestly, I really didn't like the fact that it was a PG-13 movie. I hate it that most movies, I get it, I don't mind that it's PG-13, but there are some that clearly needed to be, and this was one of them. It's about a fucking vampire, man. Like, there needs to be blood. For a vampire movie, there was very little blood in it. There were so many times where he's, like, ripping people open, and they just show the person, and there's no blood there. And it's like, it's just stupid. It's not realistic. When it's getting to the point where not having blood is making it unrealistic, that's the point where they really got to say, okay, you know what, we should make this rated R. It may make us a little bit less money, but people will enjoy it because it won't look stupid. So there were so many situations that it clearly needed to be R, but it edited in a way where it made it PG-13. There was also another scene where they were showing the crime scene photos to his love interest, and the photos were in black and white. And my friend made a comment, like, why are these photos in black and white? Like, what year is this? And I realized it's because they had to keep it PG-13. If they showed the pictures in color, they would have been showing blood, and then it would have been rated R. So they found a way around that. They show pictures of blood in black and white. That way it doesn't actually look like blood. They could argue it's something else. Those are ways they keep it PG-13. And you should notice there was just very little blood shown, even though people are getting ripped apart. It's stuff like that where it's like, I get why, like, I get PG-13 makes more money, but come on, like, you gotta draw the line somewhere, and that was it. And the same with, like, Venom and Carnage. That Venom was originally rated R, and they changed it at the last minute. So many times during that movie, it's like, they just don't show stuff, and it's like, you're making this movie lame, like, just don't do that. So I get why Marvel does it. They have an image to uphold, and they're slowly releasing, like, giving up on that and slowly going towards R-rated stuff. Sony doesn't have that. Like, they aren't trying to impress anyone. Like, why not make rated R movies? They really don't have much to lose there. So I think that was a really poor choice, and I'm not really sure why they did that. I am very curious, however, about all the reshoots on this movie. This movie, obviously some were because of COVID, fine. But that all ended quite a while ago, and they were still moving this movie around. It was supposed to come out in January, and then it got moved to March. It just kept getting pushed back for reshoots, and it's like, what exactly were you reshooting? Like, this was the final product. It went through like 7 reshoots, and that was it. Like, that seems weird to me. I'm kind of thinking that maybe they took stuff out. Every time I watch, like, the end credits or, like, the behind the scenes of a movie or a show, they always explain what they took out, and it's always really good stuff. There was, just like in, like, all the way back to WandaVision, Doctor Strange was supposed to be in it, but they ended up taking it out because they had limited time to shoot, whatever. So every time I hear about it after the fact, the reshoots are always taking something good out of the movie. Everyone knows that scene from the trailer that had the Spider-Man poster, that wasn't in the movie. Why? that was Spider-Man originally in it, and that was the reshoots, they took him out. Like, I'm very, very curious what the reshoots were and why they took Spider-Man out and why they didn't do more with it, why he didn't at least show up in the movie. So very confused about it. That's not really good or bad towards the movie. I have a lot of questions that I would like answers to. And then after the credits scene, like, we still don't know what's going on. Supposedly this is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man verse, supposedly. We kind of knew that before going into it, and it still kind of seems like that. But it also seems like not even Sony really knows what they're doing here. It doesn't seem like they have a laid out plan of what they're doing. So it may just be a Hail Mary, like they just don't know, so they're just kind of putting it out there. Hope that's not the case, but who knows. So anyway, back to what I was saying about these obscure characters. This happens every 10 years. This happened with Tobey Maguire. They had a whole plan and canceled it. Happened with Andrew Garfield. Sinister Six set up. They were going to do individual movies of those Sinister Six characters too. Canceled it. Here we are again, going to do individual movies, setting up the Sinister Six for the third time. And now I have a feeling this movie's not going to make money, and they're going to have to cancel it again. I pray to God it's not that, because I don't want to go through this again. Nobody does. I hope that's not it. I hope even if this movie doesn't make enough money, that they still follow through. Please, for the love of God, Sony, please just see it through, because I have a feeling it's going to be the same with every character that they do. They try to do more of these Sinister Six character movies. They're not going to make that much. I'm sorry, Sony, but they're not. I heard about the one that they had planned. I think it was called like Black and Silver. It was going to be like Black Cat and Silver Sable. I think they already canceled that anyway. But when I heard that, it's like, who's going to go see that? Black Cat from Spider-Man and Silver Sable? I think that's who it was. Who's going to see that movie? They're such obscure characters. How would they expect that to make money? Morbius was kind of on the border where it could, it might not. And then they got Craven coming up, and it's just, I don't think there's enough of a following for this to make money. So I see them on that trajectory, and I hope they don't cancel the whole thing. Anyway, those were my thoughts on it. Long-winded, lots of distractions. Apologies. So, as far as a rating on this movie, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Many people may disagree with that. That's okay. Tell me about it in the comments. But I still think it's worth it. Was it amazing? No. Did it have a beautiful story? No. But was it worth watching? Absolutely. If you were a Spider-Man fan, absolutely. That's what I'll say first. If you're not a Spider-Man fan, you could probably skip it. I'm talking as a Spider-Man fan. I am a Spider-Man fan. I think it has a 6. I think it's worth seeing. It's not amazing. Go in with appropriate expectations, knowing what it is, but you'll still enjoy the film overall. That's what I think. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment. I love to be wrong. Let me know about it. I'm happy to talk about it anytime. Let's do it there. Other than that, thank you for watching and supporting. See you on the next video, which should be a box review. And maybe we'll have time for more stuff. I cleaned. See that? Cleaned. You proud of me for cleaning? Yeah, I'm proud of me too. Anyway, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and supporting. Love you all. Peace.